Okay, good evening, everybody, and welcome to this presentation on Monday night called Grow Your Health. Today, we are going to talk about, as soon as you can see behind all of these things popping up here. Today, we're going to talk about improving your garden, helping you grow your plants. We're going to talk about maintaining a clean car as well. Things we don't normally talk about that much. Saving the environment as well becomes part of everything we do really in our business. And then how to build your business as well and setting and achieving your goals. So it's quite a busy and a lot of variety in tonight's session. These are our speakers tonight. Myself, Russell, I'm the host. We've got Kulsum and Michelle going to speak about Supergrow. And then Lizette is going to speak a bit about closing and starting up a distributor or customer. And I'm also going to do a play short video that we're going to learn quite a bit from tonight. So first off, we're going to speak about garden care. And in garden care, we've got one question to ask. How can you get better results without learning anything? So without us even teaching you anything tonight about how to do your garden, how can you actually get better results? And we've got a product here called Supergrow, which you dilute 1 to 1,000. That's 1 ml per liter. And if you dilute that whole liter, you get 1 million moles from that to use in your garden. And you can mix that with your fertilizers and things. I've got quite a lot of information to share about this product. And it comes in 5-liter bottles as well, so you can imagine how long that will last you. I've still got the old 250 ml bottle that I bought quite a while ago, and I throw a drop in everything I use in my garden, and it lasts a really long time. So this is a really, really cost-effective product. And just to share a few more things about it with you, and a few reasons really why you should love this product. So you can just look at some of the pictures from my garden here as I cycle through my notes. But first off, Supergrow doesn't add water, right? You're not adding water to water. It unlocks the water. So it literally makes water wetter so that every drop works harder. So instead of the beading, those little droplets that run off the leaves, water dives actually straight into the soil where the roots actually live. Right? Plants actually drink more. They don't just get sprayed, which means there's a stronger uptake, healthier roots, and visible growth that you'll see within a few days already. And it has a fertilizer booster effect as well. So whatever you mix it with, the nutrients, the feeds, whatever, it gets carried deeper and spreads more evenly in the soil as well, right, around your roots. There's less evaporation as well. There's more impact. In heat or wind, it doesn't matter. Supergrow helps water stay where it matters. So there's less evaporation, more impact, like I say, and there's leaf coverage on another level. It acts as a spreader and a sticker, so it clings, the treatment actually clings to leaves instead of dripping off. Like we said, there's no beading or that runoff that you usually get. And one product does many jobs, right? So although it's one product, there's a lot of different things it's actually doing. It's an emulsifier, it's a wetting agent, it's a spreader, and a disperser. So it's doing the work of 4 different tools in one. Okay, it's ridiculously economical. Like I said, this 1 liter actually gives you 1 million moles, basically 1,000 liters. So it's a really, really economical product. And they only recently started selling it in a 1 liter bottle. They used to sell it in a 250 ml bottle. It's so economical. But I guess they figured that we could start to use it for more things as well, because it's quite versatile. So Supergrow works everywhere, whether it's gardens, as I've been showing you, on larger scale farms. Like I said, there is the 5 liter as well that they can use on a bigger agriculture setting. And then there's also greenhouses, as you can see in my picture of my old greenhouse as well. And you can also use it in pots, in irrigation systems. When I say pots, I don't mean in the kitchen. I mean in your growing pots. But you can probably use it in your kitchen as well. So whether it's manual or automated, it doesn't matter. There's no limitation to where you can use it. And Supergrow doesn't change your plants, right? It actually changes how water behaves. And when water works better, everything grows better. The bottom line is that you'll save water. It's the same water, the same effort, and you'll get dramatically better results. You can see there that I've got these carnivorous plants as well that I was growing. And I'd throw a Supergrow in, even though that water doesn't damage the plants, because these plants are actually quite quite sensitive to any nutrients that you might put in your water, so it doesn't affect that either. Okay. Now, we've got Kulsum who's going to share something this evening about Supergrow. But before she joins us, I just want to say that I've gotten a few quotes that I felt really sort of summarized and speak to what Kulsum stands for. And it says, stand for something while you fall for anything. Speak your truth even if your voice shakes. Excellence is never an accident. So with that, I'm going to give over to Kulsum. Kulsum, you can open your video if you're able to.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and Assalamu alaikum. Yes, thank you, Russell. Russell, I want to share my downlines experience with Supergrow. She came to me when she was still very new in the business, and she said she really wanted her hair to grow because the hair was very thin and there were patches, bald patches in her hair. And I said to her, you know what? I was also just very new in the business a few years ago, and I heard that the hair salon, somebody working in a hair salon was using the Supergrow for people who had problems with hair growth. And she said, no, man, I'm going to try it because, NeoLife products are very good. And she'll give it a try. And I had to call her to ask her how long her hair is by now and if she's still using it. She said she stopped using it, but she definitely had her hair grew thicker, and where the bald patches were, the hair started growing. So I think what I said to her, I think really I can tell people that if they want to give it a try, why not? And maybe it will just ease the tension that of the skin and what it does with the soil. So she's still very happy that she's used it. She's not using it anymore. But what she also reminded me is that she used to put a few drops into her um, hair shampoo and her hair conditioner, and that is what she thinks that did, the trick for her. So
Yeah,
thank you for allowing me to share it. And she's still very happy with if she must use it again, but the hair is okay now. Thank you,
amazing.
Russell.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Kulsum. I think I've also got quite a few customers that I need to follow up with because they used to do the same thing with the Supergrow actually. At one stage, I had one customer who was actually buying it for other people, and sharing it with people in an area. And you could see the results, the way that they'd walk around the office afterwards and flaunting the hair kind of thing. Next up, we're going to have Michelle. I just want to share my screen again just to show you guys which quotes I've put together for Michelle. Now, Michelle's consistency makes visibility powerful. If you can see it, if people can see it, they can believe it. What you share consistently grows. I think these words really summarize how Michelle is really as a person and as a distributor. Michelle is also very active on social media. You'll see that she's posting very often on a WhatsApp status, on her Instagram, and I've seen on TikTok, I think, as well. So, Michelle, can you share with us? I'll go through your slides for you. Can you share with us your testimony tonight?
Hi, thank you very much, Russell, for that introduction about myself. So, good evening, everybody. So, I have been using Supergrow. I started my own little backyard garden, but I didn't have any land, so I made my started my veggie garden in containers in 5 liter bottles and pot plants. And but the picture that you see on the screen there, it's a lady that said to me that she's got a plant that is like really dead, and her mother-in-law gave it to her. And is there anything, will this product that you see on my status, is it going to help for a plant? So I said, yes, it will help. And she said, okay, how much is the bottle? I said, this is the price of the bottle, but she couldn't afford it at the time. And I then gave her a 1 liter diluted solution. And she sprayed that onto the plant. I'm not sure if I have the dates on here, Russell. Is there no dates on?
I
April?
see the 4th of, April 2023.
And the other one is 2023, and is both
I can't
2023.
see, they're both
Yeah.
2023, but I can't see the month of the second
Okay.
one. Yeah.
So I think it was about
Okay.
3-4 months time. Then I followed up with her again, and she said, "Look how my plant looked. This plant was dead. She can't believe this is how beautiful the plant looks." So that is a testimony of Supergrow. And then also I have some pictures that I sent to Russell of how I use Supergrow in my garden. In my backyard garden, in the pots that I was using, and I used to spray Supergrow on the leaves, and obviously, as Russell now said, it has a rundown effect, so it will run down the stem into where the root is. And I must say that my veggies were looked very, very healthy. My spinach, my parsley. I had some green peppers also as well. I had a very big green pepper. And my strawberries, I must say, this year, my strawberries was extremely big. I'm not sure if Russell have that photo on the in the slides as well, but the strawberries was extremely, extremely big. So, and it was very, very healthy. So that is my testimony on the Supergrow. Thank you, Russell.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Michelle. You can see in this final picture here how nice those strawberries look. And that doesn't come from Polka Dry. It's from our own garden. So well done on that, Michelle. The next up, we've got wash and wax. Now, wash and wax is for your car. Obviously, it is a car shampoo and wax, and it is biodegradable, non-abrasive, and economical, as you can see on the bottle there. It comes in these 500 ml bottles, and you use 5 ml per 6 liter bucket, right? And then that means that you get 100 washes out of it. Here's a nice idea for Father's Day coming up this year. You can actually buy the wash and wax for your father so he can wash your car. And then I've got another infographic here just showing you that each 500 ml bottle of wash and wax actually washes 100 washes. Okay. So part of the whole washing your car thing, you know, the mags get very dirty sometimes, and even your engine. And I thought it was important to add the Super 10 because even for inside the car, your upholstery as well, your ceiling lining, your seats, you can clean all of those things with Super 10 as well. So Super 10 is another versatile product. We won't go too much into detail, but as it relates to washing parts of your car, you'll see here, this is sometimes how your mags of your car's tires get, right? All of that, the chemicals and tar and stuff from the road that washes up onto or brushes up onto the tires, and they get very dirty over time. Mpo, sorry, I will answer that question when I'm done with the Super 10. And then you can see here, I set Willow on the mags. Obviously, I helped her to do this as well, but Super 10 obviously being a very safe product, she could help me to clean the mags there. And you'll see the difference after using Super 10 on your mags. So there's another way that you can use Super 10 if you don't already use it. I'm going to just switch between the two so you can see a before and after there. It's a major difference. You can see spotless after using Super 10 on that. So definitely use Super 10 for washing your car. Okay. Mpo's got a question. I'm just going to open it on my phone quickly because I've got too many devices open here. He says, does it encourage root formation? And at what stage of gardening can I use it? So Mpo, yes, it would encourage root formation in the sense that because it makes the water wetter and the water penetrates deeper, it encourages the roots to actually go down deeper into the soil. And of course, the more strong your root system is, the stronger your plant's going to be as well. And in terms of at what stage of gardening you can use it, I've used it from seedling stages already all the way up to the full tree. I'm sure you can even put it in your spray if you spray anything on the leaves as well. So I hope that answers your question on that. So next up, we're going to talk about follow-up and closing. Now, for this, I've asked Lizette if she can share something with us. And the quotes that I found that speak to Lizette is, you don't close people, you help them make a decision that's right for them. And Lizette's got a very interesting story. If I heard correctly, she said it was from today, but she can tell the story to you guys. So welcome, Lizette.
Thank you very much. Yes, I usually go to walk in the afternoon, about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, to the park in Greenpoint. And I always meet people. And today I was walking and I was walking back and I saw a woman sitting on the bench. And I start talking to her. I said, wow, is it not nice to be sitting in a shed under beautiful trees and enjoy the afternoon? And we start talking. And then I just sit down next to her and I asked her what she do. And she told me she's a businesswoman, she's consulting, and she's got a big project with the city of Cape Town and so and so. And I said, I also got my own business. And, you don't need to work 20 hours a day, a couple of hours a day, that would be enough. And I say what I do, I teach people to eat correctly. I also teach people how to make money, extra money in their spare time. And we carry on talking. And she said, oh, and she said, look what I bought. So she showed me in the bag, she's got some broccoli. And she bought it from a delicatessen in Sea Point. And I said, wow, this is great. But, I'm wondering how they clean the broccoli. And I said, I'm going to show you something. And I did do a little video by myself. It's not professional, but I mean, it shows what it has to show about broccoli going into the water. And I think we all know what it does. And then how I put some LDC in the water, and she does start cleaning that broccoli, and then do the test again and did the tap, and she was very impressed. And she said, I might be interested to look at the product. I'm not really into the business, but I would like to look at the product. And we carry on talking. And then she said to me, I said, it's actually network marketing. Oh, yes, I used to be involved with them. And anyway, talking and talking. And she said, I'm not interested about the supplement because I've got somebody very good. I order my supplement from overseas. And I say, oh, really? I say, do you know they've got the lipid and sterol from the whole grain, the oil from the whole grain? So she doesn't know what I'm talking about. So I had to tell her the story about the lipid and sterol and how it does nourish the cell membrane. And I'm sure everybody knows the story. And she was quite impressed. And she said, but golden product, I know golden product. I like the golden product. So she lived very close to me. And I said, you know what? Take my number. If you want to know more, this is my trick now. I don't take numbers from people. Actually, Charlie gave me the tip. He said, I say to people, take my number. If you want to know more, you can give me a call. And that's what I do now. I said, would you like to take my number? She said, no, take my number and give me the information. So we walked back a little bit together, and I've got somebody that I'm going to put up. And you know what? She started using the product. She's got a family. She's got children, grandchildren. And I'm sure in the long run, she's going to share the product with the family. So it was, I've got no problem to talk to people. And it is amazing, actually. I love it. Okay, that's my story. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Lizette. Now we're going to move on to a session called goal setting now. And there's this video that I found. The way I found this video was I put into ChatGPT which videos on YouTube will help me with sort of planning and mindset and becoming more effective in what I do. And this was one of the recommended videos. I've never seen this guy before on YouTube. So it's the very first video that I clicked on basically. And it just so happened, and this was last night, and it just so happened that the video matches what I'm speaking about tonight. So I thought I've got to share this with you guys. We've made good time in our speakers, so thank you for keeping your testimonial short. I'm just going to click on this and play this video as well. But I'm going to stop the share and start it again just to make sure that my sound is going. Share sound. Okay, awesome. So let's have a listen there.
Changed his life. Not long after I met Mr. Shove, we're having Jim Rohn.
I'm muted. Okay, so I just had a technical issue there on YouTube. I'm going to play it from a file that I downloaded. 1 second. Alrighty. Just check the chats quickly. People are asking a lot of questions about the Supergrow and that. You did mention it before, so those that have heard the reply can assist in answering those. Casey, yeah, I'm going to play it again because my computer was clearly not playing the sound there. So let's try this one more time. Just gonna wait for it to start showing and then I'll hit play. So this guy's speaking about 5 things that will actually help you achieve your goals in 2026, and he says that it's all evidence-based, that there's a lot of science backing this up. They've done studies and things to back these things up. So let's have a listen.
Now here I want to play you this clip from a guy called Jim Rohn. Now Jim Rohn was a multimillionaire success coach guy based in the US, but at age 25 he was completely broke, but he managed to get mentored by this business tycoon guy called Mr. Shoaff. And here he is talking about an interesting encounter with Mr. Shoaff that completely changed his life.
Not long after I met Mr. Shoaff, we're having breakfast one morning. Mr. Shoaff said, "Mr. Rohn, now that we've gotten acquainted, we know each other fairly well," he said, "maybe one of the best ways I can help you," he said, "let me see your current list of goals. Let's go over them and talk about it." And I said, "What? I don't have a list." He said, "Well, Mr. Rohn, if you don't have a list of your goals," he said, "I can guess your bank balance within a few $100s, which he did. And that got my attention. I said, "You mean my bank balance would change if I had a list of goals?" He said, "Drastically." So that day I became a student of setting goals. And I've used it to dynamically affect my life. I've taught it to some of my business colleagues. We use it to do business around the world. Setting goals.
So this is interesting. Write down your list of goals. I'm curious, do you have a list of goals written down somewhere? Could you bring them up if someone asked you to see them? But you might be thinking, this seems a bit too good to be true. This is just some like personal development guru. It's like, it surely can't be that basic as just writing down your list of goals. Do we have any actual science or research to back this up? And to that, I would like to draw your attention to this study from the Dominican University. And these guys were basically testing, does writing down your goals compared to not writing them down change your chances of achieving said goals? So on the y-axis, we've got average goal achievement, and then we've got 2 groups. One group did not write down their goals, and the other group wrote down their goals. This was the average goal achievement for the group that set goals but did not write them down. And this was the average goal achievement for the group that set goals and did write them down. The researchers found that if you write down your goals, you're around 42% more likely to actually achieve them. Now, I don't know about you, but if I could improve by 42% the probability of me actually achieving the goals I've set for myself simply by writing them down, I would probably do that because it doesn't take that long to write down your goals. And that is why our evidence-based strategy number 1 for achieving your goals is to simply write them down. Now, it doesn't really matter what format you write them down in. I personally have a Google Doc that I've named Goalkeeper, and I've been doing this for the last couple of years. And I personally like setting quarterly goals rather than annual goals. I refer to my quarterly goals as my quarterly quests, and each quarter, so every 3 months, I like to set around 3 or 4 of them. I found that if I set any more than 4, I don't end up making progress on any of them, and so 3 or 4 seems to be like a reasonable number. Alrighty, so now we come to insanely simple strategy for actually achieving your goals, number 2. Now here it is worth us understanding a little bit of the brain called the reticular activating system. Now the RAS is basically a bundle of nerves at the base of your brainstem that acts as a filter, and it determines what information your brain pays attention to. Obviously, in day-to-day life, there are millions upon millions of various sensory inputs that your brain could pay attention to. So how does it know which ones to focus on? Well, that's where the reticular activating system comes in. Generally, based on your goals and priorities, the brain filters out stuff that is irrelevant to those goals and priorities and helps focus your attention on the stuff that actually matters to you. The classic example of this is, let's say you're buying a car and you're like, man, I really want to get a Fiat 500. all of a sudden, by the fact that you've set the intention to buy potentially a Fiat 500, you will suddenly start seeing Fiat 500s literally everywhere you look. And that is not because all of a sudden when you decided to set the goal of buying a Fiat 500, suddenly everyone else also bought Fiat 500s. It's because of your reticular activating system. Because you have set this as a goal for yourself, your brain is more likely to notice all of the Fiat 500s that are floating around the place. And so strategy number 2 for drastically improving our chances of actually achieving our goals, it's to actually look at those goals that you've written down every single week, if not every single day. Mistake number 1 that people make is that they don't set goals in the first place, but you're not going to make that mistake because you're watching this video. Mistake number 2 is that if they do set goals, they don't write them down. And mistake number 3 is that for so many of us, we set goals at the start of the year and then we never look at them ever again. And so the idea behind strategy number 2 is that we can harness the reticular activating system by actually looking at our goals every single day or every single week. I personally review mine once a week. As part of my weekly reset, I've got a little journaling prompt that says, what were my quarterly quests and how were they going? And that means every single week when I do my weekly resets, it just reminds me to check up on my quarterly goals. Each week, I also set 3 main priorities for the week. And then as part of my daily morning manifesto is what I call it, morning manifesto journaling practice, I ask myself a simple question, which is, what were our weekly priorities and how were they going? I like to refer to it as R rather than my because it sort of feels like I'm harnessing all parts of my brain. What were our weekly priorities and how are they going? So every single week, I'm reviewing my quarterly goals, and every single day, I'm reviewing my weekly priorities. This does not take very much time at all. This is like a 10-second job at most, but it's just that little jog that the brain needs to be like, oh yeah, I did intend to sign up for that squash club, or oh yeah, I did intend to make progress on that particular work task. And sometimes it's just so easy to forget those things otherwise because we're so caught up in the day-to-day of what's happening in the calendar, what's happening in work and in life. But by literally spending 10 seconds every week looking back at your list of written goals or priorities, that alone is such a needle-moving insight that I'm amazed that more people don't do it. And to be honest, this video is advice for myself because I also sometimes fall off. I know all the studies, I've read, did a shit ton of research for my book talking about all this stuff. And still, I forget sometimes to do my weekly reset where I look at my goals. And sometimes a couple of weeks pass where I haven't looked at my list of goals. And I'm like, damn, I've actually been less consistent with the goals that I set because I simply forgot to look at them. Oh, by the way, if one of your dreams or goals is to potentially grow an audience or to generate consistent revenue or turn whatever expertise you have into a full-time gig, you should definitely check out the Future of Newsletters report from HubSpot, who are very kindly sponsoring this video. And you can download this report completely for free using the link in the video description. Now, having an email list and a newsletter is one of the most underrated, I guess, social media platforms out there, in that it's sort of like a social media platform, but it's also sort of not. It is in the sense that you can directly connect with your audience. April 2018, HubSpot used to improve your reset thing. I asked myself, what were my quarterly quests and how are they going? The and how are they going bit encourages me to actually monitor progress. Generally, I give it red, yellow, or green, or I just say kind of on track or off track. Just even that is enough for me to monitor the progress that I'm making towards my goals. Every single day when I make the time to do my morning manifesto and I ask myself, what were our priorities for the week and how are they going? Again, I'm monitoring progress. I defined the most important priorities at the start of the week, and now I'm just checking in with myself to see how am I actually doing in achieving them. The other way that I personally like to do this monitoring progress thing, it's also fairly simple. I use an app, Things3, for my to-do list. And within Things3, I have the various projects that I'm working on. So I've got, you can ignore Iram and Angus. This is sort of 2 of my team members that I delegate stuff to. So that is a project because of delegation and stuff. But I basically split up my projects into work and life. And you can see I've got these 4 different projects under work: company relocation, Life OS, Mastermind, and Learn AI agents. And I've got get food on autopilot because I'm sorting out like some sort of food situation for my life. These are a couple of the projects that I'm actively working on. And about once a week when I update my projects list, I will just put a little emoji of like yellow or green. Green is it is on track. Yellow is that it's sort of a bit off track, but there's a plan to get it back on track. And if it's red, it's like off track without a plan. You can also monitor your progress in any which way you like. Back when I was writing my book, Feel Good Productivity, I monitored progress in terms of word counts for specific chapters, because that's like an easy way to make progress more visible. It also just makes it feel better as you're achieving a goal if you're able to monitor the progress, sort of like the leveling up bar in a video game. As you're killing monsters and doing the quests, you're leveling up, your experience meter is filling, and there's something very satisfying about that. But what the evidence suggests is that people who just take a small amount of time to regularly monitor the progress of their goals are significantly more likely to actually achieve them. And that is why that is point number 3, monitor your progress. Again, super easy, super simple, doesn't take very long. If you're not monitoring the progress of your goals, you are leaving a lot of free kind of goal attainment points on the table, and you just might as well start doing it because why not? All right, let's move on to fairly simple strategy number 4. And this comes from a psychologist called Gabrielle Oettingen. and it's a strategy called mental contrasting. Now, mental contrasting is the idea where you basically visualize something that you want in the future, but it's not just about visualizing the outcome. We find that people who spend too long visualizing having already achieved their goals, actually in some studies are less likely to achieve those goals. But if you visualize achieving your goals and you also contrast it with the obstacles that you might encounter along the way, that is mental contrasting, and that really seems to boost people's goal attainment. And so this psychologist, Gabrielle Oettingen, came up with a fairly simple technique called the WOOP Method, which stands for wish, outcome, obstacle, and plan. Now, the wish and the outcome is where you are basically setting the goal. There are all sorts of different ways for goal setting. You can use the GPS system, which is my personal favorite. You can think in terms of facts, feelings, and functionality. You can think in terms of wish and outcome, like what is the thing that you wish for and what is the outcome that would happen as a result of you achieving that goal. But then the key bit of the WOOP method is this obstacle and plan. You are visualizing the obstacles that might stand in your path. Let's say, I've set the goal of, writing my next book by halfway through next year. All right, cool. What are the obstacles that could get in my path? Well, one obstacle is I might not make the time for it. Another obstacle is I might run out of ideas. Another obstacle is I might feel demotivated when I sit down to try and write. And then the final component of the WOOP method is plan. What is my plan for addressing those obstacles? So I might say, okay, cool. I'm going to put in 3 hours on my calendar block every single morning to focus on writing. I might do a few brainstorming sessions with my team to avoid the problem of running out of ideas. And I might use an app that me and my team have built called VoicePal to make writing more fun, because then I can write the book while talking rather than while simply typing on a computer. And so strategy number 4 that we have here is visualize obstacles and to make a plan. Again, doesn't take very long to do. Each time you set a goal, you can just spend literally 3 minutes thinking to yourself, okay, cool, wish, outcome, W-O, obstacle, plan. What are the obstacles that could get in my way and what's my plan for overcoming those obstacles? And again, according to the research, this will drastically improve your odds of actually achieving the goal. And then finally, we come to fairly easy strategy number 5, and that is to tie them to an identity. Now, the classic example of this is that there was a study where they looked at voting. So for some of the people in the study, they asked, will you vote in this election? And for the other half, they asked, will you be a voter in this election? And they found that the people who were asked the question of will you be a voter were way more likely to vote than the people who were simply asked, will you vote? Will you vote is an action. Will you be a voter is an identity. So the key thing here is wherever possible, when you've got your goals, you want to just sort of spend an extra 20 seconds to tie them to an identity. For example, one of my goals is to reduce my visceral abdominal tissue because, genetics and stuff, and I want to live longer and healthier, and I've been reading Outlive by Peter Attia. Now, setting the goal of improving my bench press or reducing my visceral adipose tissue or all that kind of stuff is all well and good. But if I were to take the 20 seconds to tie them to an identity of I am a healthy person, that will make it more likely that I'll actually achieve the goals and I'll actually stick with it when the going gets tough because I've resonated with that identity. Similarly, I found when I was working on my YouTube channel, when I gave myself permission to lean into the identity of I am a YouTuber, that was what allowed me to stay consistent with making YouTube videos in the tough times. For ages, I did not identify with the identity of being an author or being a writer because I had all sorts of imposter syndrome around it. Who am I to write a book? Any of this sort of stuff. But when I lent into that identity of being an author, at the start of this video, I'm a doctor turned entrepreneur and author, leaning into the identity of being an author. What does an author do? An author writes. What does a writer do? A writer writes. That makes it a lot easier in the mornings when I'm figuring out what I want to do with my day, what I want to do with my week. Oh yeah, I'm a writer. I guess I should do some writing. And this is often in line with the goals that I have for myself. So the question would be, for whatever goals that you're setting for yourself, how can you tie them to an identity? Because, there's a quote that I really like from Tony Robbins, which is that the strongest force in human personality is the need to stay consistent in how we define ourselves. If you define yourself as a procrastinator, you actually will stay consistent with that. If you define yourself as a YouTuber, you're more likely to stay consistent with that. If you can get over the imposter syndrome and define yourself as a high performer or as an entrepreneur, you're more likely to do the sorts of things that high performers or entrepreneurs or healthy people or whatever the thing might be. You're more likely to actually do those things. Therefore, you're more likely to achieve your goals in that domain. Now, if you incorporate all these 5 things, which I hope you do because they're super easy to do and you might as well, and they're evidence-based and they work. If you incorporate these 5 things, there is still one mistake that you might run into, which is the idea of setting too many goals. And here I want to link you to that video, which is my summary of Cal Newport's new book, Slow Productivity, that makes a really strong case for doing less but better, and doing it in a way that doesn't foster burnout. So if you haven't yet read Slow Productivity by Cal Newport, you can check out that video over there where I summarize the key learnings from the book, and I hope you find that useful. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Awesome. So that was the video that I watched last night, and I'm going to switch back into my presentation quickly. And I just want to discuss a couple of things about it. I think you guys will agree that it was quite an interesting video. And maybe to you, a lot of what the guy has brought up might sound very different to what we do in your life. Maybe you've seen some similarities. And for me, because I spend so much time preparing training and doing training with the team, everything this guy was saying was tying it to something that we already do. And I'm going to show you guys what that is now. It's actually really cool that we're already doing everything he's saying. Like in our training, all of those elements that he's mentioned already exists. Right? And he's talking about this not from a network marketing or NeoLife perspective. He's talking about this in terms of life and business and achieving your goals in general. And he says it's evidence-based. Now, for number one, he said a list of goals that are written down. Well, when we do our training, we talk about doing your wheel of life, looking at all the different areas of your life so you have a balanced plan, and then setting goals based on improving each area individually, but making it a balanced approach so you don't focus too much on one area of your life and neglect the others. So we already have that first one down, right? We do write our goals down. And if you think about it, the next step, he says, the reticular activation system is talking about looking at your goals weekly and even daily. We do that as well. We've got the dream chart. That's exactly what the dream chart is. We've got one dream chart expert, Lizette, on the call who can tell you quite a bit about it. And that's what he's talking about, having a dream chart and looking at it all the time. And then he says, monitor your progress. And this is something that Hazel has been hammering on our team for quite a while, for many years, is that we need to get better with our planning. We need to do weekly reviews and the night before reviews, the Sunday night review. That's why we have a Sunday night training session as well. And look at your daily tasks. What is it that you need to do tomorrow that's going to achieve your goal? Right? So you work your way from an annual or a quarter or a monthly goal all the way down to the tasks every day that is going to get you there. Sort of reverse engineering the thing that you want to materialize in your life. And then he talked about number 4, this mental contrasting and the WOOP method. Just by the way, for those of you that are thinking about sort of trying to adopt this wish outcome obstacle plan, we're already doing all of that. Right? What is a wish? It's your dreams. What is the outcome? It's the goals that you're setting. The obstacles, it's the objection handling that we do. We haven't done a decent session on that in quite a while, so we probably due for an objection handling session as well soon. And then the plan, we've just spoken about planning already. So these are all incorporated in what we already do. We just need to do, as Hazel has been telling us very long as well, more of it, right? And then the final thing you spoke about is tying them to an identity. And for a while, I was a bit confused with the visualize obstacles and tie goals to identity. And then I split it into objection handling on the right and the self-talk in terms of your identity. And it's like everything we do, there's different levels that you can gain in understanding. Now, with the self-talk, we think of it as this affirmation. We speak it so it can sort of materialize in our mind. We can figure out how to do it and how to achieve it. But if you think about it, your identity is also very deeply ingrained in your self-talk as well, especially if you do it right. So I've got a system called the A to Z I am self-talk, right? And this can be used if you're on the road, you haven't prepared anything, and you just want to do a self-talk on the go without any preparation, and it works like this. You say, I am, and you start with A. I am amazing. B. I am brilliant. C. I am courageous. D. I am dominant. Whatever it is that you need to feel in that moment to pump yourself up and do what you need to do. And one of the questions that can come out of it, if you want to sit down and analyze it, is, who am I? Because that speaks to the identity thing that you spoke about, because you want to avoid that imposter syndrome. For example, I've recently looked at what level in the business I'd need to be to walk out of my job, and I decided that working with Hazel in a one-on-one and doing the planning and the analyzing of this issue, we decided it will be somewhere around Sapphire 1 Ruby is sort of the level that I need to be in order to sort of maintain a lifestyle on the same level. So you can imagine that you're going from senior manager to that level, that you want to avoid the imposter syndrome, and the self-talk can help you achieve that. So I hope that has helped you guys. It's a really interesting video, and I'll share the link on the groups. If you are a guest on the call tonight, welcome, and get the information from the person that invited you, because they're most likely on one of the groups that we'll share it on. We've made excellent time tonight, so thank you to my speakers for sticking to your time. And I'm going to give back over to Andy if there's any events you want to highlight for the week. I know we've got, in Cape Town, we've got the training tomorrow morning at 11 at the NeoLife warehouse in Molderton. Andy, if you want to go ahead and add anything else there.
Thanks, Russell, and thanks for those great things. You know, folks, you've got to set your goals and set your goals high. I think one of the challenges is we look at, I'm a manager and I look at my goal as being a senior manager. Look past that. I was talking to Charlie the other day and he was just saying, Andy, when you got into the business, you didn't get into the business to go senior manager. You got into the business to go diamond. I said, Charlie, that's all we ever spoke. I said, exactly. He said, that's exactly what's missing today is people are parked on their particular career levels because they are not looking to go diamond. They're not looking to get and make this thing as big as whatever possible for yourself. So really, guys, this goal setting session is so important. Set your goals for, there are 8 steps between director and diamond, 8 steps. Just visualize those 8 steps and start seeing it. Director, sapphire, 1 ruby, 2, 3, 4, 5 ruby, diamond. And when you get there, you will not believe it. Life is a totally different picture. All right, let's get into the impending events coming up this week. It's so exciting. This Thursday, we have got Melissa Butler doing our presentation. I'm very excited about it. Melissa is articulate. She's sharp. She has a tremendous story to tell, ladies. She will relate to you, and the guys, you can look at her because she really does speak a lot of good sense and common sense and great stuff. So Thursday night, bring your guests. Don't just be there yourself. Bring a guest. So important. Then Monday, next week, Monday. You better get onto this call early. We have got 100 seats on this call, but Diamond Director Louis Smith will be coming to do our training next Monday. So I know you're probably going to want to get all your downlines on. You want to get yourself on, and you want to get on early. Don't come along over here and plug in at 7:35 and do us a favor. No, guys, come on early, stay late, ask the questions. Louis is going to be amazing. He's pumped up for this. He's been asking for it, and we've been discussing it and working it. He wants to talk to you guys like nothing on earth. So that's next week, Monday. Thursday after that, I'll be doing the presentation again. About time I get back for that. Just come back from an incredible trip through on the Southern Cape. It was lovely meeting everyone and seeing everything. Great things happening down there. And then on the 14th of February, the Saturday the 14th, East London, there will be the RISE event. You've got people in East London. The company is coming down to do the RISE event. And then, of course, you'll have your ADT rallies, those of you in Cape Town and the like. And PE, there will be the ADT rallies. Charlie will be in Cape Town on the 21st of Feb. He will be there for that as well. So that's me for tonight. A lot of interesting things coming up. Don't miss it. Have fun. Thank you, Russell.